Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz. I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and today we are going through our must-add players after week one. Here's how this works. We're going to go position by position, and we're each going to give our top pick from the waiver wire for fantasy football at that position. But it's like waivers, where only one of us is going to get that player, and then if any of us pick the same player, we're going to do a little trivia tiebreaker to see who gets them. The loser has to pick someone else. It's not that complicated. I promise you will figure it out as we go along. And Craig, I think this year we're going to add some stakes to it.
Yeah, so last year, we've been doing this trivia thing for a while now. We call it showdown time. We wanted to add stakes. We want to tally, who is the best at trivia and come up with some consequence at the end of the year. So rather than us come up with it, why don't you come up with it? Our listeners at home. You tell us.
Why don't you get off your ass and help out a little?
This is a free podcast. Email us ideas you have for punishments, consequences for whoever gets last in trivia. For the winner, he gets to do something to the other two. I'm not sure what. We can figure it out as the season progresses, but not too far deep into the season, because if I start losing, I'll bail on the whole thing. So we got to come up with a punishment within the first few weeks. Yeah.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. DK, you're the dad. You have constraints in your life. Will you just give us a list of things you won't do at a principal so no one,
probably no 24 hours in a place type deal where I have to my family has to sacrifice while I'm away.
Yeah, this should be
funny stuff.
A 3 out of 10 on the insane scale.
Yeah, we're not going to take a bus.
This is not last place in your fantasy league level punishment.
Yeah, we're not taking public transportation 700 miles away.
Yeah,
we're probably
that is a funny thing, but yeah, we're not doing that.
It's funny when we're going to go draft in Michigan and you have to get there without a plane or a car. But that's for when you're 25.
I have a child.
Yeah,
I have to take him to school every day.
All right. And again, email us trivia questions too, because I love doing the trivia. Email us trivia at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. And just remember, questions got to have a number in them. Answers, or not the question, the answer has to be a year, a date, and a number, an amount, a weight, a height, whatever. It just has to be something that if we're wrong, we can still be wrong in an order. So that's all. Right. So it can't be like colors.
We need to quantify how incorrect I am.
Exactly. That's what this whole show's about. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get right into it.
Yeah.
Going position by position, starting with running back. DK, who's your number one running back waiver ad after week one?
Got to go with J.K. Dobbins, who was the RB3 on the week, 21.4 half PPR points, 10 carries, 135 yards. He had the second most scrimmage yards of any running back in the NFL this week. And it looks like his role is pretty secure. And he's been basically their pass-catching guy. Gus Edwards was basically not involved in the passing game. So I really like the longevity potential for J.K. Dobbins if he can stay healthy, which is, of course, the big question. But for now, just riding that usage right now.
J.K. Dobbins, a.k.a. Raheem Slostert.
That's right. The poor guy broke free twice on Sunday. Couldn't quite make it to the end zone. But look, he still looks spry in the short to intermediate parts of the field.
Right. And again, we're going to hit a wide range of players here. So if you're listening and you're like, well, I have J.K. Dobbins. I drafted him because you told me to. Cool. We're going to get through a whole, just week one. I feel like it's really important to hit a whole range of players. So yeah, Dobbins. I had Dobbins. Craig, you had Dobbins?
No, I had J.K. Dobbins.
Okay, cool. All right. So there we go. So we all get Dobbins.
Right off the bat.
So in that case, now we're going to have to do our very first showdown time of the year.
Yeah.
Wow.
For those of you just joining us, welcome. This is a treat to do every Monday. I can't tell if I'm getting sick of it, but not yet. So here we go. Did you say that if we all select the same guy, we only do trivia when we all land on the same player?
Right. We're back to the old way.
Yes.
Yeah. We're doing trivia if we all pick the same guy.
Okay. It is the Raheem Slostert showdown time.
I love the
Now I'm on video. Now, you actually can see me put my hands up.
I feel like I caught the Holy Ghost. Oh my God, that was incredible. All right. Showdown time trivia.
This is big. I mean, he and one other guy are probably the two biggest ads of the week. So
this is from Jules.
Jules. Say what again? Sorry, doing Pulp Fiction, Jules.
You guys recently talked about Michelin star restaurants on the show. The first Michelin guide came out in 1900, but the 3-star restaurant system came out in 1931.
1931?
Yeah.
Dude, how many? It started in 1900, the Michelin guide?
Yeah.
Jesus.
The 3-star system came out in 1931. How many restaurants worldwide have been granted 3 Michelin stars?
Since 1931?
I believe yes. So
I'm
I
pretty
believe
sure
it's
we've
ever.
had this
No.
question before.
Have
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
How
But
we've
I
had
don't.
how
I
many
have no
three-
fucking idea what the answer is.
how many 3 Michelin star restaurants have there been in essentially 100 years?
Yeah.
Man, how many are there a year?
That's kind of that's what I'm wondering too.
That's all it is
if
right
I
there,
can
right?
name 5 of them from just watching Chef's Table, then
Are all of those 3-star in Chef's Table?
don't make me doubt myself. I don't know, Alinea.
Oh, I don't think I
And-
can name any of those.
Where did Carmi cook in the Bear? I don't know.
The place
Noma?
in Copenhagen?
Yeah, I guess I'm out.
I don't
Okay,
know.
so the question is, how many 3-star Michelin restaurants are there in the world since 1930?
Have been in the world.
Yeesh.
All right,
All right,
whatever.
you guys ready?
I think we'll be, yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, 1,000.
702.
Oh, you son of a!
I
Well,
said
I got-
1,000. 702. What'd you say, DK?
I said 700, but I guess it's actually probably good because I get the low number if it is one.
I know. I'm kind of
It's-
stuck. I had that middle 300 range.
153.
Oh,
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
was gonna
there's not
say,
that
man,
many.
it's yeah. I feel like so. I mean, that's basically there's like 1 to 2 a year.
Yeah. I guess that makes
Holy
way
shit.
more sense now that I think about it.
I like never hear about 3-star. Like you hear about 1 and 2 all the time. I almost forgot that there like a third was even possible. It's so hard to achieve.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay, so wait.
So
So
I
who
get
won that?
Dobbins.
You DK, you get J.K. Dobbins?
Yep.
And then Craig, you get the next pick here.
Yeah.
I feel like, do you guys agree, broadly speaking, I feel like there's 2 groups of running backs after J.K. Dobbins that are available. There are like younger-ish veterans that have some degree of flex appeal, and then there are like upside rookies. Do you guys like largely agree with that?
Yes. When you name a younger veteran that you're referring to, like Alexander Madison.
I would. Well, no, he's my deeper. I don't think he's. I guess I'm curious what you pull here, Craig, because I feel like there's a group of.
I'm gonna go
actually.
with.
You pick, and then I want to influence.
Yeah,
you.
let's just go into it.
It's week 1, right? There actually weren't a lot of injuries at the running back position. In general, knock on wood, there weren't like a lot of injuries this week, really. So my picks coming out of week 1 are usually like promising signs I saw that I want to bet on for the long term. Guys, I want to bet on long term. So I'm going to go with Bucky Irving, the running back for the Bucks, rookie, who looked great out the gate. He had a great camp. Everybody thought he was going to challenge Rachaad White, was a guy who maybe didn't have all the talent last year, but got a lot of touches, which is why he was good in fantasy. He got most of the touches last week. He had 15 rushes, but it was only for 30 yards. Meanwhile, Bucky Irving, 9 rushes, 62 yards, looked really good. They played about 70-30 snap split. But I just think long-term, I think it's very possible that come week 8, Bucky Irvin's just like the guy on the ground and Rachaad White's the receiving back because he is a good receiver. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Bucky.
That honestly, so that's not necessarily. I wasn't going to go with Bucky. I think so. First of all, just to step back for a second, week 1 is really important because I mean, week 1 last year you could have gotten Kyron Williams, could have gotten Puka Nacua, and those ended up being 2 of the most impactful players of the entire year. And so it is important in these spots. And when I look at I hate the whole who's this year's Kyron Williams? Probably nobody. There probably is no Kyron Williams this year. Having said that, when I was looking at it, I think the biggest determinant for me is because it's actually, I think, year 2 running backs. I feel like rookie running backs, the guys who go on day 1 or day 2 are usually on teams already. And then you look at the guys who are on waiver wire, like a Bucky Irving. Did he go in the 4th round, 5th round?
I think fourth.
4th.
Yeah.
And then, so I feel like the rookie running backs going that late, there's always some kind of deficiency in their game. But you look at year 2, like Kyron Williams last year was in his 2nd year. And I feel like there are 2nd-year running backs that kind of we forget about. So in fantasy drafts, they don't get taken. And then all these invisible improvements in their game get them on the field more. That's the group I lasered it on. The 2 guys I'm between would be Tank Bigsby for the Jaguars, who got the same amount of carries as Travis Etienne, but had almost double the yards. Travis Etienne fumbled the ball out of the freaking 1-yard line, and I kind of wonder if Tank Bigsby is going to get the goal line work. He also is just like a really good running back. Like, he just runs uphill, he glides. Like, I like the way that he switches lanes. I kind of just think that, to your point, Craig, about long term, I think Tank Bigsby could just be good all season.
I had him 3rd. He was right after Bucky Irving for me. The only difference for me was I do think Etienne's good, and I don't necessarily think Rachaad White's that good. So that was the only difference.
My concern with Bucky Irving is this was like the perfect game for him to participate because the Bucks kind of blew out Washington. I think Bucky Irving, a lot of his touches got touched. That sounds weird, but he got a lot of his touches.
He got more looks later in the game when it was
when the Bucks were up a lot. And I feel like I do agree that he could be the goal line.
Just a strong showing for a rookie 4th rounder in week 1.
Absolutely.
Especially considering Rachaad White, 15 carries for 31 yards.
Yes.
Like Rachaad White, I don't think is a very good running back. Like in terms of what he does on the ground, he's a really good pass catcher. And so like what Craig was saying is I don't understand why the Buccaneers wouldn't do this. Bucky Irving is so much more efficient. He's so much more north-south, so much more decisive as a runner, at least what we saw yesterday and what we saw in the preseason, than Rachaad White. And so, and by the way, Bucky Irving was one of the better pass catching backs in college football last year. Like he played with Bo Nix, he was having to catch the ball a lot.
Yeah. Rachaad White's a late 3rd round guy in the draft. It's not like the Bucks committed a lot to him or that the coaching staff is like particularly in love with Rachaad White or anything like that.
And there's nobody behind Bucky Irving. You know what I mean? I'm not that worried about Sean Tucker. Like it's, if anything happens to,
I think, and the tiebreaker for me would be with Bigsby is that Bigsby only ran 4 routes and he didn't get any of the 3rd down, long down and distance situations. It was all ETN still. And so they clearly, and this goes back to last year, like every time they threw to Tank Bigsby, it was like an interception. Like there was I think he got 3 targets on the year and 2 of them were picked. And so they clearly don't trust him in the passing game yet. So that kind of, limits what his potential upside could be.
The other guy I really like, and he's the exact opposite, and actually the exact middle ground between what we're saying, is Jaleel McLaughlin for the Broncos, who I also think is right there and honestly probably maybe should go ahead of both the guys we're talking about. He is the one catching passes from Bo Nix. So running back for the Broncos, he had 15 touches this week. Now, do you guys like a PPR? You like PPR? Like PPR scoring?
Of course I do.
Don't love it.
I love points.
McLaughlin.
I like when players score points.
5 catches, 1 yard. 5 catches, 1 yard. That's the Broncos offense. I feel like he's high T. I like high T in running backs, talent, touches, timeline. I think you look at the talent, McLaughlin's like the all-time NCAA rushing leader. Don't check what division of college that was in. And then I just look and I'm like, all right, like clearly he's like, they're designing plays for him. He's catching screens. Like I like the way he runs. He's hard to bring down. He's kind of feisty. He's there at 5 a.m. every day. Sean Payton said he's beating him to the building every day.
He's just waiting outside. It's not even open yet.
Yeah, exactly. He's just in the parking lot, just like threatening Sean
on
Payton.
His phone. Yeah.
Like who are those guys who serve papers? Like that's basically him every day waiting for Sean Payton.
Process server. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think McLaughlin, like he got more touches than Javonte Williams and stuff. And I think he's the definition of like flex appeal, where you're going to be able to throw like on bye weeks. You could put Jaleel McLaughlin in your flex and he won't disgust you.
Yeah.
When guys are going on, and then if Javonte Williams gets hurt, I don't know what the ceiling is because the Broncos are probably going to suck, but he's going to catch a ton of passes, and he's also actually like a real running back. Which
he played on early downs quite a bit in this game.
Yeah, the weird part about him is that Javonte Williams is actually used more in the passing game in terms of like routes run and on passing downs, which is odd considering that they're not. They both don't. They seem built for the opposite. Jaleel is seems like the receiving guy.
All right, I talked myself out of it. I'll take McLaughlin, and then.
McLaughlin had 15 touches to 9 for Javonte Williams.
That's just a lot to have on waivers. The guy who's leading his even if it's a bad team, like a guy who's leading his team in touches on the backfield and catching passes.
I had McLaughlin
with an F.
McLaughlin.
The phonetic F.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
It's not McLaughlin.
Dude,
no.
Tell you the truth, every time I've never said this to anyone, every time I see his name, I think of The Dark Knight when the Joker has the truck that comes through the tunnel. And it just says laughter on the truck, and he just spray paints the S and puts slaughter, like you put the slaughter and like the laugh and slaughter, and that's the Joker. And I just think of that. I guess no one cares about that. But he puts the laugh and slaughter for Jaleel McLaughlin.
So you're taking Jaleel over Tank.
I am.
Okay.
And then I think Tank belongs in actually this perfect bucket of other running backs. Jordan Mason for the 49ers, who it's Monday afternoon of recording this. Guess what? If Christian McCaffrey's gotten injured, you should take Jordan Mason ahead of all.
Yeah. By the way,
we're talking about except J.K. Dobbins.
We should mention because I think this happened after we had talked. Christian McCaffrey was listed with an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
Which they didn't have to disclose during the preseason because there weren't injury reports at that point. So that is slightly more concerning than just a pure calf injury, right?
And so McCaffrey's again. I think it's funny the calf is in his name, but McCaffrey's going to play tonight, which is you're listening to this. I'm not sure if the game's already happened or not, basically whatever McCaffrey does in that game, if Jordan Mason is splitting work with McCaffrey, you should probably just pick him up. So I think Jordan Mason's like, because there's no one behind him. Elijah Mitchell's already out for the season. Frankly, there's no one else that Kyle Shanahan trusts in San Francisco. Like Shanahan and McVay are total control freaks with what running backs they put out there. There's 3 running backs he trusts. One's already out for the season. If McCaffrey goes down 2, I think Jordan Mason and then Debo would be getting all the work for the 49ers. Mason's as high upside as there is, and we'll see. If McCaffrey comes out and plays 99% of snaps, then Mason has no regular value until McCaffrey gets hurt. But if they're limiting McCaffrey's work so he can get the whole season, that's a different conversation. The other guys exactly in a similar bucket to me are Ty Chandler on the Vikings.
Yeah.
Justice Hill on the Ravens. And then I think they're right there with Tank Bigsby, where they're all kind of like the short end of a 2-man backfield. But if one of those guys got hurt, they would get all of it. Like Justice Hill would get a lot of it if anything happened to Derrick Henry, but Justice Hill is like pass catcher for now. Ty Chandler, if Aaron Jones got hurt, I think Ty Chandler would have a lot of that backfield.
I think you could add in Zach Charbonnet on Seattle to that group as well.
Especially since Kenneth Walker left the game yesterday late in the game complaining of abdomen pain, which is...
And Zach Charbonnet immediately caught like a 20-yard touchdown after Kenneth Walker went out.
I'm not worried about Ken Walker playing for this week because they let him do the post-game press conference, and generally speaking, if you do the post-game press conference, you're not like...
He probably had to take a shit, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, did you
I had
see
abdomen
that
pain
play
after
where
eating some jalapenos the other day?
Dude, the play where they WWE like threw, like Ken Walker like picked the guy up. And that was actually, I've never seen an unchoreographed WWE move, but that's exactly what
God, I love Ken Walker. Insane. He's the best.
More NFL players should suplex each other. I don't know why that's against the rules.
To add on to that list, Alexander Madison for the Raiders.
Craig, do the thing.
Alexander Madison.
He ended up playing more than White.
Just straight up.
Zamir White, and that was definitely not expected coming into this week. So... And Madison, I think, is a much better pass catcher. The Raiders are going to be playing in trailing game scripts most of the time, I would imagine, this season. And so Madison is probably actually the guy you want in this backfield, at least based on the usage from week 1.
He played 60% of snaps compared to 40 for Zamir White. He ran more routes, looked better.
I don't know if you really want any running back in this group, but if you're desperate, I feel like Madison.
Can we tier these guys? I feel like J.K. Dobbins, we're saying, is in his tier of his own.
Yeah.
And the next group, I think, is led by Jaleel McLaughlin. Honestly, he might be his own tier 2. I know that's kind of a bit, but like he's basically like a lead running back on a team. That's kind of its own.
Yeah, I mean, he still played less snaps than Javonte, but yeah.
And then, true. And then the next group, though, we got Tank Bigsby on the Jaguars, who no pass catching work.
Heifetz hates my Bucky Irving pick. He's dropping him.
I like putting him in there right now.
Craig, I had him 3rd.
But Tank Bigsby and Bucky Irving are similar-ish players where it's like they're both probably not getting receiving work right now, but they have a path to getting like a lot of other between the tackles, early down work, and maybe goal line work, right? So there's similar players in that regard. Justice Hill for the Ravens, who's just more of a receiving back, whereas Derrick Henry's obviously Derrick Henry. Charbonnet for the Seahawks. Rico Dowdle is is that a tier below? Because he's not. I actually think he might be better than Zeke eventually, but I don't know if Zeke's going to.
Well, they were just rotating drives.
Yeah.
Based on the usage. By the way, so a lot of this information we get from PFF. Nathan Yonke does a great job of charting everything and talking about how they utilize the backs. And so I believe Dowdle and Zeke were just rotating drives, more or less. Obviously, there's like a little bit of, shifting throughout the game. But it's like you said, it wouldn't be that surprising if Dowdle ended up being sort of the lead guy because he just has more juice. I don't know. I thought Zeke looked okay, but nothing special.
It's just an old man pickup game at running back.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams?
I would say, but I think there's another tier below that. I think deep flyer, it's like Ray Davis on the Bills, so I don't think it's going to be playable anytime soon, but I do think eventually we'll have like a timeshare with James Cook. But he's a rookie, and so I don't know. But it's deeper. Yeah, Jamal Williams if you're in a deeper league. Any other guys?
That's all I had written down.
Yeah.
Okay. So I end up with Jaleel McLaughlin, DK, you get J.K. Dobbins, and then Craig, you get Bucky Irving. All right.
I like that Bucky Irving pick, Craig.
Thank you. Is a long-term play.
All right, wide receivers, Craig. Then why don't you go first?
A lot of options here, to be honest. I would say there's not a glaring, clear number one like a J.K. Dobbins and like who we will be talking about at the tight end position. I went with Brandon Cooks. This should just every episode we do on Monday should be in honor of Brandon Cooks, who every year does this. He was not drafted. He is the Steven Glansberg of the NFL. Once again, 7 targets, 45 yards, touchdown. And this was even in a blowout when they didn't even throw the ball a lot. And look, Jake Ferguson, their tight end, just got hurt. So Brandon Cooks was already kind of like the fringe number 2, number 3 guy in this offense. Now he seems to be a clear number 2, depending on how long Jake Ferguson, the tight end, is out. Good offense, good quarterback, number 2 option. Brandon Cook is a smart veteran who is not going away. You could play Brandon Cooks next week, I think, and not really have to worry too much.
Yeah, the number 2 receiver on an offense with Dak Prescott, they're going to pass probably a lot more than they did in this last game when they got up really early.
Yeah. 7 targets when Dak threw the ball 30 times? It was pretty good.
23% target rate.
Did you
he
have
ran
him,
the
DK?
same number of routes as CeeDee Lamb. I thought he looked pretty sprightly.
Sure. I mean, look, he's Brandon Cooks. He does the same thing every year.
Yeah. I did have him as my number 1.
Okay.
Did you?
I did not. I had Rashid Shaheed for the Saints.
That was a close second for me.
Yeah.
I love Rashid Shaheed. He's just starting receiver for the Saints. And I think, again, so he had, 70 plus yards and a touchdown this week. I think he's just really good. I think he's just a fantastic, he's
good, isn't he?
He's just incredible. He's
number
open.
22. It throws you off.
It does.
Yeah,
I
he
was
looks
like, what
Nate-
safety is that?
Dude, exactly. Do you think the defense loses him because they think he's on their team?
Oh, that's interesting. There's something there.
How many receivers in the NFL right now are in the 20s? It's like Sky Moore.
Oh God, yeah.
He's the only
Rashid Shaheed.
good one.
Yeah.
Sky Moore is 20 because I think the Chiefs want to move him to defense. I think
Right.
because he can't freaking catch.
Shaheed is hard for me. I had him as my number 2 guy as well, just because he feels like the most unsustainable player in the league that continues to sustain his play. Every single game, he has 2 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. And I'm like, all right, well, can't keep that up.
Can't keep doing these 50-yard touchdowns. Can he? Or can he?
So part of me is like, I don't know. They played the Panthers and he had basically 1 great deep shot, but also he does this every single week.
Is it wild? Olave had 2 points.
Yeah. It was a dark day for all of the wide receiver ones across the Drake London, Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf. All of those guys had terrible days.
So I have Shaheed. You guys have Brandon Cooks. That means, okay, so you guys have to do a little Brandon Cooks showdown.
See, this is what's tough. So now you don't participate in the opportunity to get a point here.
All right, well, I'll still guess. And if I get it, then you guys
That's fine.
still do the trivia. If I beat you, I just, for the love of the
Everyone
game.
gets to play trivia.
Participation award, soft.
Yep.
All right. It is the Brandon Cooks showdown time. I'm imagining the sound of the gong. We can't hear it right now, but I know you all are hearing it.
It's from Mark.
Marco.
Specifically, it's from Mark's 8-year-old son.
Mark's son.
You really put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah.
Mark's
You
son.
literally just had such disdain for
I
Mark's
was like,
child.
did he say a name?
Mark's son.
My
Get
son
it
is
over
the only
with.
son that we talk about on this show.
Mark's son.
Mark says, my 8-year-old son came to me with this tidbit the other day.
Hmm.
How hot is a bolt of lightning?
Oh, sweet God. I actually hate this episode every week because the second Heifetz begins the question, I'm like, I'm fucked.
I hate these questions.
Answers in Fahrenheit, obviously.
How hot
Is a bolt of lightning.
Bolt of lightning.
You guys, see, this is one of those situations where I'm so embarrassed that I'll just be so deeply incorrect. Oh, gosh.
I got a number in mind.
How hot are other things?
How hot is
boiling
lava?
point? Isn't the boiling point 300 something?
No.
212.
It's 212? Okay. Well, I was wrong.
I think lightning is
That'd
hotter
be
than
funny
boiling
if
water.
people stop sending us how many stars are in the universe and just send us how many cups are in a quart.
Oh, I'm screwed at that.
Basic shit.
212 degrees.
You gonna go with 214, DK?
No.
All
right.
Okay.
You guys have a number in mind? Heifetz, you want to count us down?
All right. How hot's a bolt of lightning? 3, 2, 1.
2,000.
What'd you say? I said 10,000. What'd you say,
I
Craig?
said 700.
I
I'm
said
just going back.
700?
I'm running the Michelin star.
No,
number
you know
back.
what? It can't be as hot as a pizza oven. It has to be hotter than a pizza oven.
DK. There's a chain of pizza called 800 Degrees or whatever.
I didn't know that.
Literally crossed my mind, Heifetz. I was like, it has to be hotter than 800-degree pizza. I said 2,000.
I said 10.
I literally just guessed the same number I did with Michelin stars.
Just always guess 700. That'd be really funny. I wonder like how many times you'd win.
I'm just gonna guess 700.
Dude, that's the version of Taco from the league. Like just auto draft, never sets his line up.
People are going to start writing in trivia questions that only have the answer 700.
Could the number DK. 700 every time just win this game?
Oh, I'm going to start submitting questions like from fake accounts.
Yeah.
Burners.
50,000 degrees.
Okay. Yeah, that's
I was off by a bit. I did not know there were 800-degree pizza ovens, to be honest.
That would have swayed you, really?
It would have helped. That probably would have swayed me a little.
I was so off as well, but I do feel better that DK
What was the answer?
50,000. I mean, Heifetz was technically really off, but still much better.
So who won?
Heifetz.
Me.
Okay.
See, this sucks. I got 2 second places. I get nothing for it.
Okay, so Heifetz already gets his.
Yeah, I got my Shahid, baby.
He got Shahid.
So then I get Cooks.
Oh, shit. Okay. I have a hard decision here, I think, because there's 2 guys I really like.
I think there's one sexy guy left.
So Khalil Shakur, technically, I think, falls in our category under 50% ownership on one of the 2 platforms, ESPN or Yahoo. And then the other guy that I've got in mind here that I think is sneaky is DeMarcus Robinson for the Rams.
Yeah.
Who played 92% snaps. He's a clear number 2 behind Kupp in terms of snaps and routes. And especially in particular with Puka Nacua probably missing time. We haven't really gotten the official word yet on what exactly happened with him, but
the burst sack,
I think we're going to have to assume he probably misses a week or 3.
Everyone insisted the burst sack was okay. And us, we are not doctors. However, we perhaps correctly said, can your burst sack ever truly recover?
No one ever said I used to have a bad bursa sack. It's always a bad bursa sack.
I used to have a bad back, right? No one's ever said that.
Right.
DeMarcus Robinson last year, when Kupp and Nacua were banged up, particularly Kupp, DeMarcus Robinson was very good on the Rams. He had 4 straight weeks with a touchdown at the end of the season. He was like a top 20 guy in fantasy.
He went 7 targets, 4 catches, 42 yards, 15% target rate on the day. Tyler Johnson had like that big play, but technically Robinson was playing in front of him. I'm so tempted to pick Khalil Shakur because he's more sexy and more fun and like does more stuff, but he only played 53% of the snaps for the Bills this last week. I think I'm just going to go with like the floor play and pick Robinson, even though I like these guys. I like both of them a lot. I'm going to assume Puka's out next week. I'm going to go Robinson for the Rams and just kind of just bank on he's going to get a bunch of targets from Matt Stafford. So
there's 2 players. One, I'm stunned you didn't bring up Greg Dortch, DK, for the Cardinals. 8 targets,
Dortch.
6 catches, 47 yards. He only played like 2/3 of the snaps, but Greg Dortch, just some of the plays he was targeted on. 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 5, 4th and 7 with the game on the line. Like, he's clearly Kyler's guy when they need a bucket.
It's kind of a short guy solidarity thing, perhaps.
Exactly. Brother.
I did the math earlier. Dortch, going back to 2022, has played in 15. There's been 15 games where he plays 60% of snaps. That's a pretty low bar. So 60% plus. There's been 15 games. And he's averaged 9.5 PPR points in those games.
Kyler
so that's
also,
I don't know if that's really worth getting excited about, to be honest, but like
you said, how many? 9 PPR points?
9.5 PPR points.
9.5. Okay.
Kyler also said that Dortch, if he was like 6'4", would be the number 1 receiver in the NFL. How would you guys feel if I said that about you? Because Dortch is like 5'8". If I said, Craig, if you had 4 more inches, well, that's a different conversation.
If I had 4 more inches, man, things would be very different.
Things would be very different.
I'll leave it at that.
I'm going to make you a star. I'm going to be a star. What's the line?
You talking about Boogie Nights?
Yeah. Boogie Night. There's like a famous line at the very end of the movie that I'm sure Simmons
Craig
would be
Dickler
upset with me for not getting it.
The other one I just feel like we have to mention is Alec Pierce, who just went absolutely, kind of nuclear this week.
Yeah.
For the Colts. Alec Pierce was kind of like on the outs last year. I feel like he wasn't really like good for the Colts, and they did 3 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, for some reason, Anthony Richardson has taken it upon himself to like make Alec Pierce a thing. He was mad that people were talking shit about Alec Pierce, so he's like, "I'll show you," and basically just launched 2 bombs to Alec Pierce that he came down with. I think a couple other guys Wan'Dale Robinson had 11 targets. He was one of only 4 guys in the NFL to have double-digit targets. I know the Giants are an absolute dumpster fire, but the guy had 11 targets. And then the other guy, Romeo Doubs, played the most snaps of any Packers wide receiver.
Yeah, 12 targets. Sorry, Greg.
12 targets. Romeo Doubs on Green Bay played the most snaps of any Green Bay wide receiver. It's largely a kind of a big rotation over there. The Jordan Love thing makes that super difficult. If it's Malik Willis, like you're just not doing that. But depending on Jordan Love's health, you know, you could potentially add Doubs if Love comes back sooner rather than later.
I think if Jordan Love had not gotten hurt at the end on that weird field in Brazil, that I think Romeo Doubs might be the best player available. And yet Malik Willis is awful. And if he ends up being the Packers, but first of all, it's so weird to me. Like, you know what? Put this as another feather in the cap for I could be a general manager. If your backup quarterback is so bad that when your starter gets hurt, you're like, oh, we got to call someone because we can't play this guy. Why the fuck is he your backup quarterback? Like, they're calling Ryan Tannehill, and like Malik Willis got cut from the Titans. Like, he's been awful.
I think the genuine answer, I'm not trying to like disagree with you because I agree it's like important to have a backup, but I think they just want to develop him.
But that's
they weren't assuming that Love is going to get hurt, but that is not a good reason because they need help. Like, so many guys get hurt. So many guys will have a concussion randomly. You know?
Yeah, I understand how he's your backup. If you want to develop him, make him your number 3. Like, if the Packers are trying to win the Super Bowl, they should have been in the NFC Championship game last year. And again, to your point, DK, you say this all the time. More quarterbacks played last year than ever before last year.
Yeah, it was like, and the year before that, it was like the record too. So it's like, it's happening more and
He's been on the team a week. How is this your plan? And the Packers are the team with foresight. They're the one who replaced Favre with Rodgers and Rodgers with Love. If any team's supposed to understand this, it's the Packers and then the Eagles who won a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. I just don't understand how Malik Willis might play for the Packers.
Did they not have a third QB? Do they not even have one?
They had no experience.
Available?
It was like Sean Clifford and like all these, like they had no experience. Ironically, they had nothing behind Jordan Love because I guess he's getting on the practice snaps. Either way, all that's to say, I have very little confidence in the Packers passing game until Jordan Love comes back.
They need to get Tannehill or somebody. It's so funny that, once again, Terry Fontenot just kicking his feet up right now, looking like a genius. But
Michael Penix.
Quarterback, most position important, most important position in football. Dude, is backup quarterback like top 5, low key? Like,
yeah.
Having a competent backup quarterback that can keep your team alive, afloat during a 3, 4, 5 week stretch, rather than just torpedo the season and now the Packers are 1-5 because Jordan Love came back in week 6. Your whole season's over. A backup quarterback, it's like quarterback, left tackle, backup quarterback are the first 3 things I'm focusing on.
I don't understand, man. I totally agree. It's like the Eagles won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles making that run, and no one learned the lesson. And I don't understand. And I really just don't get it. Like 20 years ago, they had Matt Hasselbeck told me this story once of just like his whole career. He doesn't think would have happened if he had to play because he was like the 4th quarterback in the room, and they had 4 quarterbacks on the roster, and they all developed. And I don't know. I don't understand how like quarterbacks have less runway than ever. Anyway, all that's to say, if Ryan Tannehill gets signed to Green Bay, I'm okay to Romeo Doubs, but I'm very aware of Green Bay until then. Of these guys, who are you most afraid of going off? Because like Alec Pierce, it's easy to be like, oh, it's the 1 week boom. But if Alec Pierce just had another 60-yard bomb from Anthony Richardson next week, you'd be kind of like pucker fact you didn't pick him up.
I don't want to live that life though. Just relying on 60-yard bombs down the field. I don't want to live that life.
I still think Khalil Shakir is the best like long-term option here.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
The other guy I want to throw in just as a stash is Josh Downs for the Colts, who was getting a ton of hype in preseason. He was basically their number 2 alongside Pittman for most of the training camp and preseason era, and then he had a high ankle sprain. And I think he's getting close to being back. It might not be this week, but it might be next week.
They didn't put him on IR, which suggests that he's healthy enough to be back soon.
And if this offense runs a lot of RPOs on, slant routes over the middle and things like that, like I think Downs was feasting on that stuff in the preseason, or I should say in training camp, according to reports. And so I think he's just a guy to stash if you don't feel good about your receiver core. He could end up being the number 2 on that offense this year.
Yeah, they're going around high ankle sprains. I'm dubious of high ankle sprain, man. Anyone with high ankle sprains, especially when Downs is 5'8", I feel like the explosiveness is everything at that size. That's tough. But they're going around because clearly. So if we go to tight end here, David Njoku for the Cleveland Browns. And again, it's Monday afternoon, can always change, but it seems like David Njoku has an ankle sprain. He's week to week. Again, I just heard like Njoku's whole thing is he's this crazy athlete. It's one of those things I'd almost rather him take a month. A high ankle sprain is what turned Austin Eckler into looking like he was running in mud last September because he came back too soon. I just think high ankle sprains, there's just nothing like low ankle sprains. We need to rename it. And then Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson also has an MCL sprain for Dallas. So he's week to week. Who knows how long that's going to take? Either way, I don't know. Just tight ends dropping like flies to start. So with that said, do we even have to do the thing? Everyone's number one tight end this week is Isaiah Likely for the Ravens, right? We don't
even have to do the thing. It's Isaiah Likely.
Isaiah Likely, 9 catches, 111 yards and a touchdown. And there were only 3 tight ends in the entire NFL this week, pending Monday Night Football. Only 3 tight ends had 10 fantasy points, and Isaiah Likely had more than 20.
Yep.
So Likely had more than 20. There's not, and
he also should have had more. He almost cut that touchdown at the end.
Should have had 30. And there's also, it's not even like a fluke. Like Mark Andrews, his last game in 2022, Isaiah Likely had 8 catches for 103 yards. Last year, Mark Andrews got hurt. Isaiah Likely was a top 4 tight end from week 13 on. So he's just really good. I get he was pissed because he should have had a game-winning touchdown first game of the season. Epic, best moment of your life you've ever had so far. Having said that, when he was at the press conference after the game, because this is probably how most people know him, when he was like, if that's the best the Chiefs got, not afraid
We're good.
of that.
Yeah.
Good
luck in the postseason, he said to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, people hate losing and they'll say stupid shit.
I feel like to get to any level of athletics, you have to be a little bit delusional.
Yeah.
What's funny though is like Mahomes takes the opposite approach. Mahomes is like the anti-shit talker. He's like the complimenter. Mahomes, like anytime anything happens, if he gets sacked, he'll compliment the guy. Be like, "Oh, you almost got me there. Oh, take it easy on me." Just
kill him with kindness.
Yeah. So subconsciously, right before Myles Garrett is about to decleat Patrick Mahomes, maybe in the recesses of his mind, he's like, "Mahomes, nice guy. I'm not going to hit him as hard." That's Mahomes' plan.
But Mahomes doesn't do it because Mahomes does Mahomes does the Michael Jordan takes everything. Like if you think Patrick Mahomes hasn't connected in his head that he was the 4th player on the NFL 100 and he's going to go for his 4th Super Bowl ring, like he's thinking about all this shit. So I think that's why he's nice. But yeah. These Isaiah Likely quote, they're going to beat the Ravens in the playoffs and he's going to bring this shit up. Anyway, but to your DK's point, he's delusional. That's an asset. Why you need Isaiah Likely.
Complimentary.
Unconnected to reality. That's awesome. So with that,
got to be a little bit fucking crazy to be this level of anything. I feel like
got to believe in God or think you are God.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I whiffed on Austin Eckler. I actually met him his rookie year, and I was like, that guy's super normal.
He's too
no
nice.
shot.
Yeah.
All right, it is the Isaiah Likely showdown time.
Yeah. I already know my answer, guys.
DK, you should open a restaurant, 700-degree pizza.
We don't have to get our ovens quite as hot, so save money,
Hot grease lightning. Questions from Aurelio.
Great name.
Fun to say.
As of 2023, how many satellites have been launched into space?
Literally, shoot me into space. I would rather be shot into space than answer this question.
Dude, there's a lot of satellites, man. Have you ever seen that image of Earth, but like with all the junk around in orbit we have?
Yeah.
Does the Tesla that's floating around up there count as a satellite?
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Does that count? That's crazy that just happened.
I can't believe Elon Musk was allowed to just.
I think isn't it floating away or is it coming back in?
Sent it into the universe. Yeah. Google right now Earth orbit satellites, like the actual thing of like what's going on around Earth.
What would be a great question is how far away is the Tesla right now from Earth?
Oh man. Someone figured that out. Email to us.
We did that question.
We did?
It'll change every year.
Yes, you guys.
We did. How far is the Tesla from Earth?
Yes, we did that question.
But it's funny because it's always going to get further and we'll never remember what the answer is.
So
good thing our memories are like just absolute trash.
So we've done the Michelin restaurant question and this Tesla thing has been asked. And Heifetz clearly didn't remember the Michelin thing.
I don't think we did the Michelin thing.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we did.
No, it was different. It was like how many miles? It was like what? I don't think it was how many 3 stars.
Maybe not.
There's a lot of ghosts screaming at us right now in the show.
By the way, this is off topic, but this has happened to me several times now. I don't know whether I feel it's funny or I feel sad doing it, but I've now debunked people's theories that they've seen a UFO a couple times because they see Starlink going by. You guys have you ever seen
it's weird.
Starlink go by? It's like 6 or 7 or 8 lights or satellites or whatever all connected together, and they just go in the same. They're like all together, and I've had several instances where people are like, "Holy shit, did you see that?
Yeah,
I literally just saw a UFO."
The
No.
I don't know if you guys saw the Boeing Starliner capsule successfully returned to Earth a few days ago. Have you seen what that thing looks like? It looks like an alien ship. So anytime anyone has ever seen a UFO, it's that. It's us. All right,
Yeah.
It's us. I promise. This thing
Yeah,
looks like
the premise of UFOs means you can identify all the spacecraft in the world.
Yeah, I can't. I sure as heck can't.
These things look like floating jellyfish. These Boeing Starliners. So not an alien.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
I'll send you it. It's very interesting.
All right,
that
how
whole
many
story's
going with-
wild about those two astronauts
Dude,
who are stuck
I'm
up
looking-
in space right now.
I'm looking at this picture. I'm trying to count.
Count
All
what?
right, you guys
You're
ready?
looking at a photo of the Earth's atmosphere?
I told
Heifetz
you
is
to Google
just
it. It's
fucking
cool.
cheating over here.
I told
The
you to
fuck?
Google it. It's interesting.
What am I
It's a-
Googling?
I already know
Google
my
Earth
answer.
orbit satellites. There's a lot of fucking satellites. It's like
I
crazy.
feel
what
like it's
we've
not
done.
fair to look at the photo. This is like, what are we doing here?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
looking, so you should
It's
Google
definitely not fair.
it. If we all do it, it's fair.
Well, I know, but this shouldn't be a pattern.
It's just a cool picture, man.
Well, we could have looked at it after we guessed.
All
What'd you
right.
Google?
Earth orbit satellite.
Okay.
This kind of freaks me out, to be honest. I'm like, this
Isn't it
does not
crazy
look
that?
natural.
But that's how like your text work. It's like going up to space and going around. It's insane.
The beautiful planet obscured by a bunch of metal machines floating around in the air is a little scary to me.
Yeah, it looks like we're giving Earth acupuncture.
It does.
All right, you guys ready?
So how many satellites have we launched into orbit since 2023?
No, as of 2023.
As of
Oh,
2023.
ever.
Oh,
Okay.
ever.
How
Oh,
many
I thought
are
it was
orbiting?
since.
Yes. No. How many? As of 2023, how many have we launched into space?
Okay, I need to recalibrate. When did we launch our first satellite?
50s.
The 60s, 50s? All right.
Okay,
You ready?
sure.
3, 2, 1. 700.
6,000.
700. Yeah. I'm going for the under.
I just did 701 as a bit.
It's just as being a dick. That's
I said 701. You said 700. What'd you say, Craig?
6,000.
Pretty good.
probably right.
15,946.
Let's fucking
bad.
go.
That's a lot.
Craig, you get Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I forgot about the stakes. I was too committed to the bit.
So Craig gets Isaiah
that's not great.
Likely. I'm second. I will take Taysom Hill because you know what? All the tight
Oh.
ends have the same downside. We just saw all the great tight ends and Trey McBride and all these guys get like 5 points or 3 points or whatever. Taysom Hill's the same downside. He didn't do much last week, but he almost caught a 30-yard touchdown. That's not going to appear in the little box score when you click on his name. He also got 5 carries, and then he barely played in the second half. Like, shout out
Yeah,
Nate
because they were
Jonke.
winning like 30-3 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate Jonke, Pro Football Focus, he does a great job with this stuff. Like, they took Taysom Hill out because why are you going to play Taysom Hill? You're up 30 points.
He's
I-
34 years old.
Yeah.
He's too old.
He's too
He's-
old.
He's really a large part of their offense. And I don't know. The Saints play the Cowboys next week. He has the same downside as any other tight end, but the difference is he could catch and rush in a touchdown more than likely than almost all the other tight ends. So I still freaking love Taysom Hill. DK,
All right.
work with the scraps.
I like that. I'm gonna go with Colby Parkinson from the Rams. This is sad. He was the tight end 7 this week with 6.7 fantasy points.
We're so back.
I sure love fantasy. This is the best. I will say he ran a tight end, a position best 42 routes this week. He ran more routes than any other tight end.
Wow.
He played on 87% of snaps, 5 targets, 4 catches, 47 yards, which relative to the rest of the tight ends this week was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought he looked pretty decent out there. He had 3 first downs for the Rams.
Yeah, he looked good.
It's like Higbee the last 5 years where it was like a top 8 tight end in targets. He's the nice thing about the Rams is they play the guys and they don't rotate. You know what I mean? Like Colby Parkinson's going to be on the field and he's going to be running on a lot of routes. And that's what I'm looking for when I'm like, digging in crates, 3rd place finish at the tight end spot here this week. So I'm going with Colby Parkinson. The other guy I think is worth mentioning is Tucker Kraft for the Packers, who surprisingly played ahead of Luke Musgrave this week. Musgrave only came in when they did 2 tight end sets. And Tucker Kraft going back to last year when both of those guys were playing, he honestly has looked just better than Musgrave, a little bit more versatile. I think they trust him more to be on the field as a blocker and things like that. So, obviously with the Jordan Love situation unclear, he's probably not going to do a whole bunch this next couple weeks, but this is more of like a long-term stash. He's going to be, it looks like, their starter.
Tucker Kraft played the second highest percentage of snaps among any tight end in the league this week. You know who was first?
Colby Parkinson?
Kyle Pitts.
Oh, yeah, Kyle Pitts, like 97% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
God, love to see it. Too bad the quarterback stinks.
Incredible playing the fourth pick putting him on the field. Yeah. The other thing I'd say, because I think this is hard this time of year, figuring out people to cut. If you have, just on the off chance, if you have like Cole Kmet, you can cut Cole Kmet.
Yep.
Like between Caleb being
or
rookie,
Everett, frankly.
Yeah, well, it's like Gerald Everett is like the receiving guy anyway. You can cut Cole Kmet. The other one, honestly, if you're trying to get Isaiah Likely, you can cut Pat Freiermuth. Like, it's fine. He's rotating a tight end for the Steelers. He's talented, but like I think you can.
It's crazy. They just gave him like a massive contract extension.
Yeah,
Arthur Smith rotating tight ends.
So, all right, quarterback. We're not going to do trivia here for quarterback. But speaking of Arthur Smith, I think Justin Fields has to be the top streamer quarterback just because the upside is higher than the other guys left. If you need someone, if you have Jordan Love, I don't know if you do want to play Fields this week. The Steelers are playing the Broncos defense, so that's mixed results. This was an eye test thing, and I looked into it, and it's real. Justin Fields averages 3 times more rushing yards per game in November than September.
Okay, that's
he averages 90 yards per game rushing in November, 30 in September. And
is that like he's trying to be a regular quarterback and throw the ball in September, and then by November he's like, "Fuck it."
I kind of think, yeah. I kind of think he needs to warm up. I think that he's like doing all the coaching points, and halfway through, everyone's like, "Fuck it, Justin, just do your thing.
Just go, man." Yeah,
you got to let him warm up. So, like, the thing with Justin is like people cut him, and then he moves on. And in fantasy, like you cut him, he's on waivers, and then he's like the best guy in fantasy. And so, but from week 4 on last season by points per game, Justin Fields was the number 7 quarterback in points per game, like ahead of CJ Stroud. So the upside's crazy. I also don't know if you want to play him immediately, but I think Fields for the upside, you do want to have him. Russ started the year with the calf injuries, 36 or whatever. I just think he's going to play, and he'll get better as the season goes on. But if you really do need someone for right now, and that doesn't sound cool, the 3 guys, I'm curious if you guys disagree. I think Baker Mayfield, obviously, where I think Washington, again, was a perfect storm for him to play well. But Baker's playing the Lions. It's probably going to be a shootout this week. I don't think he'll be as good as last week. Obviously, he was like the number 2 quarterback. The other is Matt Stafford for the Rams, which MVP level from Stafford. Little concerned that the Rams offensive line is in fucking tatters. Like the Rams O-line.
Everyone on that team is injured right now.
Third string left tackle, second string right tackle.
Second string left guard. Before halftime of week 1, and Puka Nacua got carted into the locker room at first half. And
this was my worry. This was my worry with the Rams coming into the year. It feels like they're a house of cards. Yeah. Everybody on their team gets hurt.
It's crazy.
Cooper Kupp's going to have 28 targets next week.
I know. It really is insane.
21 targets, Craig. Craig's like love and admiration of Cooper Kupp in the preseason that's aged extremely well so far.
Yes.
Well done.
Dude, we need to do that next year, the week 1 test. Of like it might have to be a badge on the fantasy rankings.
Just do victory laps. Week 1 victory laps.
The week 1 where it's like, if you saw this in week 1, would it change your mind? Because sometimes it's no, but for some players, you're like, if Cooper Kupp got 14, his most catches of his career in week 1, what would you say? And you're like, oh, I guess he's fucking fine, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, okay. Those are the quarterbacks. Defenses, needless to say, but I'll just throw it out there. For whatever reason, if the Steelers, the Jets, the Cowboys are there, needless to say, add them. And Steelers, Jets, Cowboys are good defenses. And if anyone drops the Browns defense, because they were fine against Dallas, I would add the Browns too, because they have the Jaguars this week. And then the Browns get like the Giants, Vegas, and Washington. I think so I would add Cleveland if anyone cuts them. But unlikely that those are available. So among defenses that are actually available, the Chargers, playing the Panthers. Don't think I need to say much more. It's Khalil Mack versus Bryce Young. It is Jim Harbaugh versus Dave Canales. Give me the Chargers over the Panthers. They're available in 90% of leagues at ESPN and Yahoo for the Chargers. Seahawks are playing the Patriots. I think the Patriots are definitely better than we thought they were. But Seahawks, I still think that defense is going to be pretty good versus New England. And Broncos are playing the Steelers. And I'm not really afraid of the Steelers' death by 1,000 field goals offense. So I think, the Broncos got 2 safeties for Seattle. I think that's pretty solid.
That was weird.
But I would definitely go with the Chargers because you can play them 2 weeks because the Chargers play the Panthers this week and the Chargers play the Steelers next week. Then you can cut them. But I like the Chargers a lot as a fantasy defense. And if none of that works out, Jags versus the Browns, or I don't really like the Colts defense at all. But if Malik Willis does play for the Packers, you could play the Colts defense. So, cool.
Good job.
Emails?
Emails.
All right. Got an email from
Nicholas.
Nicky.
What do you got for us, Nicky?
Nicky Poo.
An actual answer for turf. We had an argument about turf on Sunday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What do we even say? DK's used the term field turf, and then he pretended.
No, I just said the word field turf, and you look like you'd never heard of the
I'm
word
definitely
field
down with
turf
this.
before.
I had no fucking idea what the hell you were talking about, and I
know that's wild to me.
Someone tweeted us and said it's a generational thing because AstroTurf was not really a thing for Craig and I's generation. So field turf to us is just turf. There's no differentiator.
Yes, that was the crux of the misunderstanding was that I was asking if turf and field turf are the same thing, and then DK was baffled that Heifetz had never heard of field turf.
I couldn't hear anything else. I was just shocked and dismayed.
So anyway, but the reason we brought that up was Craig correctly noted everyone was slipping all day. It wasn't just the field on Friday with the Brazil Packers Eagles game. Everyone was just slipping everywhere. We were like, what the hell's going on? And I rewatching games today, everyone really was slipping. There were it was crazy. And so Nick has an interesting answer, specifically about the Browns-Cowboys game. Nick says, I just wanted to give a little clarity to at least the Browns field turf situation versus the Cowboys. I worked as a Browns groundskeeper during college.
Wow.
God, I love it.
And for a few years until after the 0-16 season, which I like that's when he was like, enough is enough.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good.
Nick said I guess he went to Baldwin Wallace University's 2 blocks from the Browns facility and also the home of Jim Tressel, who graduated from and played for quarterback for Baldwin Wallace. All right, shout out Baldwin Wallace.
Okay.
Nick says the Browns Stadium hosted SummerSlam a few weeks ago. And so the field was brand new sod, which is natural grass, not turf. And in Nick's writing, in my experience over the years with brand new sod, there's a lot more slipping around than in a broken in field. And also, Cleveland got like 3 inches of rain Friday into Saturday, which also may have played a part in it as well.
Yep.
And that would also explain the other newer grass fields potentially having slipping issues. However, the artificial field slipping doesn't make much sense to me either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was all. That's very interesting. That all makes sense. The field turf thing, the reason we got on that, it was like Geno Smith was slipping a bunch on the Seahawks field turf. And I was like, what's going on with that? Like, that is much more regulated and like, I think, consistent than a sod field or whatever. Like
the
grass
best
field.
play of the weekend. The best play of the weekend was Anthony Richardson.
Yep.
He was slipping at the top of his drop
logo.
too. A lot of guys were slipping at the top of their drop. It was
my
very bizarre.
first thought was that it was. I think those logos are slippery too. Like that was my first
like
thought.
the like paint.
Yes, I think that you see that sometimes. You know when you like the players. You know when players get tackled. I think this happens more in college, and then they get the paint all over them.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes that surface is slip. Whatever they do, it's different than the right. And I think that sometimes it's slippery, but I don't know. Maybe it's just we're paying attention more. But
no way. There was way more slipping. There was
way
more slipping.
Rewatching games, I was like everywhere. Like there was the Amon-Ra play. There was a play.
The Stroud play. Stroud fell and still completed a pass.
Yes.
Oh
yes, from his knees. Yeah, Jaleel McLaughlin. I was rewatching. He just fell. It was like every game. I was like, it was very strange.
The NFL makes $20 billion a year, roughly. Figure out fields. Maybe make it so the players that generate the revenue for your league don't slip all the time.
Be great.
Ground man.
That reminds me, this is super random, Craig, but there was I just saw this video on Twitter one time where Steph Curry had discovered like a dead spot in the floor.
Yeah.
Because he was like warming up before the game and
he could tell the ball wasn't bouncing up the same.
He has such incredible handles that like when he went around his back or something, it just didn't come to the
I think he went
right
through the
spot
legs and it didn't hit him in the hand right.
Yeah, and he was like, something's fucking wrong.
Jackie loves that video.
Like, what's that?
Jackie loves that video. She's just like, I just want to be good at something enough that when I make a mistake, I'm so good that I'm like, clearly something's wrong with you.
He literally could blame the floor. Yeah. Anyway, that reminds me of that. These are finely tuned athletes, and it is bizarre that like you just see them slipping and falling constantly.
Yeah, it really like the one that where I was like, damn, Craig's onto something. I guess no, never mind. Sorry, that was the Friday game. The Friday turf was so bad. I remember thinking Emmanuel Wilson, I believe, I want to say on the Packers, was running, and he tried to stop and he fell forward like ice. And so I've never seen an NFL running back do this. He fell forward on his butt with both his feet ending up in front of him like he was sliding down a hill. And I remember thinking, do you know how fucking hard it is to be the number 2 running back for the Green Bay Packers? Do you know how incredible of an athlete you have to be? It's like, how bad does the turf have to be that when that guy tries to stop, both feet end up in front of him and he's on his ass?
Yeah.
Like that just, I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, I've seen people falling. I've never fell. All right. We got another email here from Mark.
The same Mark?
Lots of Marks today.
Wait, we're both, no, the other one was
Marco.
Nick.
No, but we had a Mark
Lots of
earlier.
Nicks.
Oh, this is Mark with a K. The other one was Mark with a C.
Oh.
Nice. Keeping me sharp. I don't know if Mark has any 8-year-old children DK can disparage.
Mark's son. Disparage? I just didn't say his name excited enough, all right? I didn't disparage his son.
Mark's
I'm sure his son's fine.
It's like you should like make this show like a wedding with no kids. All right.
We love your little ones, but would prefer they stay home this weekend.
Mark has an email. Mark says, the Tyreek Hill cop altercation reminds me of when I was about 20 years old. It's specifically he was talking about how Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill said the thing to the cop where he was like, I'd like to be in law enforcement one day.
Yeah.
I want to be a cop too. Mark says the cop, that reminded him of when Mark was 20 years old. I got pulled over for speeding, doing 40 and a 25. I was pretty nervous. The cop comes to the door and asks if I have anything in the car that he should know about. And mind you,
Okay.
mind you, I had been driving around with a camera bag, with a dime bag in it for a while. But recently I'd cleaned my car.
Marijuana to the layperson. Or maybe something else. I don't
Devil's
know.
lettuce. So
Cocaine.
Mark says, so I look around behind me to check for the camera bag and I don't see it. Turn back around. I tell the officer there's nothing to worry about. And the officer says, were you checking for something?
This is like me. I'm the worst liar in the world. I would
The
break
idea of
immediately.
him going, hold on.
Hold on.
No, I
You
don't
don't need
think
to
it's
worry
here
about
right
something.
now.
Nope. Nothing.
Nope, we're okay. So the cop is like, were you checking for something? And I'm like, no, sir. So Mark says he was so nervous about that he had botched that interaction that to recover, he's like, do you like carrying a gun? Does that make you feel powerful?
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Jesus. Mark really
I panicked.
Mark
I
really panicked.
Panicked.
Can I hold your gun? Yeah.
He's like, all right, buddy, get out of the car.
It's like super bad. He's like, it's like having a second cock. So yeah,
I love it when small talk goes seriously wrong. That's the best.
So, done, huh? Big gulps, huh?
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you have any other just incredibly botched encounters of any
Botched
kind.
small talk.
Just botched small talk.
Or botched interviews. Yeah, botched interactions at a restaurant. Just anytime you botched a communication situation.
Like that feeling when, the waitress is like, have a good dinner, and you're like, you too.
But like
Yeah.
times
Like the people
100.
The people at the airport, have a nice flight. But like worse. Shout out to the person who emailed us that they were giving a business presentation and they were like in front of 1,000 people informing all these like hospital employees that they'd be like basically reducing their pensions. And this like 25-year-old's giving the presentation, and the CEO like stood up to try to help him and quell the crowd because everyone was pissed. And he's like,
It's like
why
a
don't
mutiny.
we?
They're like, "Bah!"
Yeah. And they're like, why don't we? And the CEO's like, why don't we look at this from the 30,000-foot view? And then the 25-year-old speaking was like, great idea. And then walks over to the floor to ceiling windows and is like, wow, what a great view.
No way.
And turns her, this was on
Once
the show
again,
too.
this
Turns
is the
around.
story we've already told on
We
the
told
pod.
this. Everyone turns around and everyone's like looking at him.
Wow.
And that's how he learned what 30,000-foot view as a phrase meant.
I don't remember that. Look, when you've done as many pods as I
I
have.
know. I was gonna say.
That's like what a nightmare.
We could do 2 pods completely verbatim, identical to each other, and not know it.
I think that's right.
Probably already have.
I mean, basically.
All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Carlos and Kai, for producing this episode. Thank you, everyone at home. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. More waiver trivia. Email us awkward botched encounters.
Happy birthday, Carlos. One
Happy
day late.
birthday, Carlos.
Yeah, congrats.
Shout out to
Dolphins win.
Carlos. Dolphins win,
Got the
baby.
dub.
Sorry, it's going to last 2 days until they get throttled by the Bills again, and it'll go back to reality.
How dare you?
Thank you, Lord.
Lord.
Thank you, Pat Benatar.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
What?
Love is a battlefield.
Oh,
You would know her if you saw a photo of her from the 80s.
From the 80s.
All these 80s photos. Oh, yeah, I see. I don't know who that is, but I know that song.
Which one?
She does have a very 80s vibe, wearing this
She's so 80s.
purple zebra print
yeah.
onesie
Leotard with like the weird sunlight
with a
coming
red
through.
belt.
Yeah. We got to bring that look back.
It's coming back.
The like
coming.
jazzercise look, you know?
Oh, it's coming back. All right, goodbye, everyone.